Hey everyone, Dr. Mark Supernaut here, Family Healing Chiropractic. So this is our Can Chiropractic Help My Friend with Blank webinar. And so this is kind of just a brainchild that I just came up with last week. Wanted to just get this to you guys as soon as possible. And the reason why we're doing this is because we get asked a lot. Patients will come in and say, hey, can you help my friend that has blank? Can you help my husband that has blank back pain? Can you do anything about digestive problems? Can you do anything about like thyroid issues? And sometimes patients are asking it for themselves, and a lot of times they're asking about it for their friends. And before I go through this, just really simply, my answer is always going to be yes if there is problems that are connected to the nerve system. And I'm going to get deeper into that here in a little bit. So the answer to this question is always going to be yes, but I want to make sure that you guys understand the details behind it so you guys get a chance to see and understand and start to think for yourself. So again, if you're listening to this for the first time, my name is Dr. Mark Supernaut. I'm Charlotte, North Carolina, Family Healing Chiropractic. I am sitting here in the office. We saw already the morning shift. We saw patients this morning. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple stories there and just want to kind of help you guys start to think differently. And if you're getting this video, my call to action at the end is going to be, if you haven't been checked up in our office, come get checked up. My other call to action is we're having a dinner on July 15th in this office. Actually, we're going to move all these chairs that you see behind me, and we're going to cater into this office and get a chance to go help some people that way. So let's get right into it because I don't want to take long with this. I want to make sure you guys get your answers here. So here's when we put a fishbowl up at the front up here, and we said, hey, what do your friends and family members have that you want to know if chiropractic can help? And so here's the short list. This is pretty much versions of this is what we got: headaches, back pain, sciatic, seizures, sleep apnea, ADHD, sinus issues, fatigue, allergies, high blood pressure, lupus and immune system issues, digestive issues, heart problems, thyroid issues, ovarian cancer, heart disease, foot pain, neck pain, and then hormone issues or painful periods. Those are pretty much what we got. We also got a couple questions this morning about Parkinson's or Alzheimer's and how it's connected to the nerve system, and can chiropractic help that as well? So I'm going to dive into that, and I'm going to group this together. I'm going to answer these things in groups. And if you have more specific questions that you're like, but okay, you answered this partially, but I need this answered all the way, just call us. Get a hold of me, DM me on social media, or call the office, and they'll put you in contact with me. So first question I always ask is, what do symptoms tell us? And this is the thing that you need to start thinking differently. I told the story this morning. In chiropractic school, you could have one of 4 diagnosis teachers. And if you got 2 of the diagnosis teachers, you were for sure going to pass boards because they taught diagnosis to the letter, to the T, exactly how it's supposed to be taught to pass a medical board. And so, and then there was one of the instructors that like, if you get him, you're going to have to study on your own. Well, I got the study on your own guy. But the one thing I love about him is he would always say this. He'd say, listen, I'm not going to teach you how to regurgitate facts or be able to just pass a board. But what I'm going to teach you is to think for yourself. And so the first thing that he taught me is this question, answer this question: what do the symptoms tell us? Because when we start to see symptoms, they're really a bigger part of a bigger problem, but they're the warning signals that go with this. So when people have the headaches, the menstrual problems, the high blood pressure, depression, all the things I listed off, neck pain, dizziness, acid reflux, these symptoms, where they're not wanted or they're not desired, the reality is that even though they're not wanted or not desired, the problem is that in this country, typically when we have these symptoms, it's all about waiting and hoping they go away, or taking a drug or medication to cover these things up. So warning signs for kids: these are things that kids have pain. We see kids that have pain, which is just not normal for kids to have pains, or restricted motion, postural issues, even scoliosis, poor balance, fatigue, chronic ear infections, hyperactivity, ADD, ADHD, sleep issues, asthma and allergies. You guys heard my story before, massive asthma and allergies growing up. Attention, focus issues. I know you guys probably all rolling your eyes. Attention, focus. If you have kids, that's the hardest thing in the whole wide world. Slow development, bedwetting, constipation, traumas, mental stress. So these batches of symptoms that I'm showing you here, all they are is they're really just warning signals along the way. That's what they really are. They're warning signals. And when I put this up, some of you guys, your blood pressure goes up right away because you're like, oh yeah, I hate when those things come up on my dashboard. And the reality with this is that when those things come up on the dashboard, those are what's called warning symbols, warning signs, idiot lights. These are trying to tell you the light itself is not the problem. The light itself is alerting you that something is wrong with your car in some area. And if you don't address the area that this light is coming from that's warning you about, then it's going to be a bigger problem, like the oil light on, or the overheating engine, or the battery, or the gas tank. If you don't address that, right? Like, so if you had these signs come up on your dashboard, what's going to happen is as these signs come up on your dashboard, if you just took a piece of black tape and put it over top of that dashboard and covered up the light, your car is going to break down. It's going to run out of gas. It's going to overheat. Something's going to happen that this is trying to warn you about. You're not wearing your seatbelt. Something's going to happen. And we would never do that to our car, but yet we do that to our bodies all the time. And the body is trying to tell you, when you have a symptom or a sign, it's trying to tell you that there's a bigger piece of the problem that's happening underlying inside the body. And you've got to do something different about that if you're going to be different. Now, if you want to just do what the rest of Americans do and just keep drugging it or getting surgeries and trying to cover up the signals, the symptoms, what you're going to end up with is poor health, less longevity. You're going to end up with more hospital visits, more doctor's visits. You're going to be put on more medications, more drugs. You're going to have more sickness, more diseases as you get older. Come on, you guys know this. As people get older, the more medications they're on, the less healthy they are. But yet we think that that's the pathway as people get older, and we don't know of any other pathways that's out there. So I'm going to teach you guys how to think a little bit differently today, hopefully. So I always like to start here, how the body works. When you start to kind of uncover the amazing facts of how God designed the body, it is pretty fascinating to me. And so we start with the nerve system. Now, that out of all the organs, cells, and tissues that you have in your body, there's one organ that controls all the functions, and that's the brain. The brain controls every function that you have inside your body. Now, how do we know this is true? The brain has billions of neurons up here, millions of neurons up here, and all the synapses and all this stuff that's happening. But what happens is an extension of the brain is the spinal cord. And most people think these are two separate organs, but it's really the spinal cord that comes down through the spine in here. It actually connects the brain to the body's organs, cells, tissues, and functions. And the brain sends the messages down through the spinal cord, out the nerves to all your organs, cells, and tissues. And there's thousands and thousands of nerves, and each nerve root that comes out of every part of your spine, there's 2 pairs of nerve roots that come out of every section of your spine, every vertebra that's in there. And there's thousands and thousands of nerves that come out of those. And so it's pretty fascinating how intricate the system is. But what we know to be true is that, and this is fact, by the way, the French did great research on this. The French aren't known for much, but I'm just kidding. The French are known for this one research project where they used this thing called the guillotine back in the medieval times, where they would cut people's heads off with a guillotine. And when that happened, life expired 100% of the time. And so the research really was very, very conclusive, knowing that this is where life is. Life is up here. And this life not only keeps you alive, but it keeps the organs, cells, and tissues in your body functioning at the highest level. And it allows your body to be able to communicate back to your brain. If something's wrong, then the body's got to be able to fix or adapt. And this brain, it doesn't only just tell the body what to do, but it also is there for adaptation. Adapting, healing, functioning. It's trying to make sure that the body's able to work in the way that it's supposed to work. But there has to be the connection. The brain has to be connected. Now, how does this work? Well, if you look at the nerves on the autonomic nerve chart right there, if you take the nerves that go to your heart and you cut the nerves to your heart's going to do what? It's going to die. If you cut the nerves to your leg, the leg's going to die. If you cut the nerve to your thyroid's going to die. We don't see cut nerves, but what we see are stressed, choked, pinched, stress nerves. I don't care what you call it. There's a lot of semantics that go with it, and you want to be perfectly scientific about that, but you guys know how science works out if you guys paid attention the last 4 years. So what happens is that if there's pinching or stress or pressure on the nerve, if that nerve to your heart cannot get 100% of the information that's designed to come from your brain that gets to your nerves, to your heart. If it's not 100%, if it's too much or too little, that's a problem. It's kind of like a guitar string. If you take a guitar string and you pluck it and it's got the perfect tune, it'll make a perfect note. But if it's too tight or too loose, it makes an awful sound. The spinal cord and the nerves are exactly the same. If there's too much or too little pressure, the brain just cannot communicate back and forth how the brain's able to communicate to your body. Okay. And that's a big piece of this. Now take the nerve, no matter where it's at, if it's to your thyroid, if it's to your immune system, if it's to your digestive system. So that's why I tell people, can chiropractic help with blank? My answer is always going to be yes, if there's a problem with the nerve system. And the way that you know if there's a problem with the nerve system is you get it checked. And that's what we do in our office. And so when you start to piece and understand the nerve system a little bit more, now you start to look at this function chart. On the function chart, what happens is you go from 0% function, right, to 100% function, 0% to 100%. And now if your body is functioning at 0% function, that means you're dead. That's the guillotine. That's the head cut off. That's dead. You're done. You've expired. It happens to all of us. Even happens to the best of us, right? But what happens is if your body's functioning at 100%, though, what happens is that your body is able to not only just be able to live pain and aches and all that stuff free. Now, don't get me wrong. You could be functioning at 100% ideally and still go rake the backyard or go rake your yard and still have back pain. You could still have stress to it. But what we want to make sure is that nerve system is working at or near as close to 100% as we possibly can. Now, if your body were functioning at 100%, then what happens is that the body's able to adapt the best it possibly can. Now, as you lose, and let me go back to this. If your body's functioning 100%, not only is your hormones balanced, your sleep's better, you're a better mom, better dad, better husband, better wife, better brother, better sister. Everything's better when you're at 100%. But as you lose function in the body, most people think that if you had pressure on a nerve or lose function there, you would feel it right away. And the reality of that is it's not true. In fact, only 99 out of all the nerves of your nerve system, only 7% of your nerves actually feel pain. The other 93% are for function. And function means everything else. It means hormone balance. It means body adapting to bad food. It means digesting. It means healing cancer in your body. It means that your body's creating energy for your heart to beat, for your lungs to breathe, for everything to work. The brain and spinal cord control or coordinate these things. When you lose enough function in it, when it gets down to 60% function, is finally what has been said is that 60% function is what research shows is that's finally when a symptom shows up. So let's go back up to this. These lights don't come on initially right away when it's just functioning a little bit poorly. Like I had a mechanic tell me once, the oil light doesn't come on until you lose over 75% of your oil that's in your oil tank. And then what happens is finally the oil light will come on. Now, if that's right or wrong, I don't know. That's what a mechanic told me. I don't know much about cars. Okay. That's why I have a mechanic. But here's what I know is that these lights don't come on until it gets dangerous. And so the reality is that these lights, these symptoms don't come on until it gets dangerous. The reality in our whole medical industrial complex in this country has been built around that 60%, that when you have a symptom, what are we taught to do? Take a drug, take a medication, and cover it up, but never get to the root cause of what's actually at the core of what's really happening. And so whether it's nutrition, whether it's balanced digestive system, if it's nutrition, digestive movement, if it's stress, if it's chemical toxicity, there's many things. Mindset's a